Do you have enough space on there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Welcome back! This is Kady. Well, NVCDayOne. I'm Kady Stapes with Living Connected, and we are here together.
Still.
Yeah. Next week, as you see next time.
Whenever we,
Eric.
if we ever get these videos put up anywhere. So when we just finished with what do you do when you respond to somebody, and are you being riled up and meeting when they're at, or are you just being riled up? I think this is kind of what you're saying. Are you being riled up with reactivity, or are you being riled up in a different way, meeting people where they're at? I think that's what you said.
Yeah, like how is it? Yeah, like who sees that differently? Like who are you with? It depends on who you're with. Are you riled up reactivity, or are you riled up to be? What was the other thing?
Riled up to meet people where they're at. Right. So I would guess the difference is when I'm riled up meeting people where they're at, I'm connected to needs. That's probably what I would say. I'm connected to something inside of myself. So maybe I've paused for 10 seconds before I said, okay, I've paused long enough. I'm wanting to be heard and seen, so I'm going to match energy. And then when the energy comes out, is it with relationship to feelings and needs and requests, or is it full of demands and pain? Demands, basically.
Yeah.
Demands and strategies. That's my guess.
Yeah.
And then when I'm coming from reactivity, I'm going to be in a blaming and shaming thing. Like, man, you're just wrong, and you guys need to stop because you're so stupid. Right? Right. That's my guess. I mean, like, I might feel guilt. I don't know if I would actually, but probably I would. I don't call too many people stupid often. Maybe
I try not to either.
Probably
but
just my kids. But yeah.
When it's like stupid.
Right.
Really.
Right.
I mean, you can't. Their reality is so off the chart that you can't. They're just.
Yeah, it's just hard, right? It's really, really hard. It's hard to have compassion. It's hard to see it as tragic.
Yeah.
Tragic. It's hard to see it as tragic.
It's so tragic.
Yeah.
And that's what I've noticed in this whole thing about being home is that it's the way that we've communicated is so tragic.
Yeah.
Because when I went to my acupuncturist that treated my mom for many, many, many years, he told me that she said to him, I fight to connect.
Wow.
Period. That's the only way she feels like she could connect on some level with someone. So meeting my mom where she was in her anger or fighting was a way for her to get a purpose or a meaningful connection. And I'm just like now going, oh, this is tragic and sad because this is not how I want to. And I found myself when I was grieving when I first moved, all of the things that was happening. I realized Mom wanted to have those conversations in the morning when they were like watching the news, and she would just be piping off and about this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't, in my own body, in my own capacity, my head could not connect with her. Mm-hmm. And then that felt very sad inside of me because I knew she wanted to connect, and at the same time I was like, but I don't have the capacity to like meet you there in this high energy, intense anger in this situation, in this conversation, which is I guess why my dad on the walks would say, you need to talk to your mom. And I was like, I don't know how to do that because I'm not in a space to have the capacity to meet her where she is, because I don't want to live in that space right now. It's very hard when one person connects in this way and then you have someone else who doesn't really, now me particularly, want to connect like that.
Right, there's a mismatch
there. And oftentimes my dad did fill in that space a little bit and like try to,
he bridged
kind of, even though he didn't probably want to, but he would say that's the way she's getting like her, you know, motivation to live, or, you know, get her to have purpose and meaning in her life to like stay alive. So he would interact with her and meet her there.
he would meet her there because that's the way they lived for however many years together. 30, 40 years 100%, together.
Yeah.
And their pattern was to fight.
Yeah.
Just to hit each other. Well, not hit each other, but to meet each other with a lot of energy.
Yeah.
A lot of
energy.
Of what and for them, for whatever reason, it worked.
I guess so.
I mean, they did everything together, right?
They did.
They spent 5 minutes walking down to get the mail and 5 minutes walking back up every day.
Well, before, my mom would get sick. Yeah.
Before Mom was sick.
Yeah, we would all walk together.
You'd all walk together. Wow.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
For 10 minutes.
Well, sometimes it was an hour. I mean, most of the time we walked for an hour. We walked down the hill. We didn't just get the mail.
Wow.
I mean, but we always went on walks together. They would walk and...
That's so interesting because I would imagine that a family that walks together for an hour every day or, even once a week is pretty close. And, and so maybe you did have closeness in that hour.
I think so.
Were those peaceful walks?
From what I remember, yeah. I do remember at one point, my sister, you're walking too fast. I'm like, well, we're walking, walking. So I walk pretty quickly. Well, maybe because I have short legs, but I mean, that might have been the only thing that I remember being rah, rah, rah. Keep up with us.
Well, it's interesting because I've never heard this particular part.
Well, this was long before Mom had,
was sick,
where she had neuropathy and couldn't walk very far and
right.
Couldn't walk with us much anymore and
right.
Yeah. Right. And most of the walks that my dad and I had done during that time that I was living there, most of them I thought were good walks. We might have disagreed on some stuff like counseling and Mom getting support groups or something along the lines of that and brainstorming, but I mean, overall, I think they were good walks.
So those are happy memories in general for you?
Yeah, and I always still to this day was like, I love our walks. If we could get anywhere at some point in this relationship of where it is now, that's where I would like to get back to.
Where you could take a walk for an hour.
Together and chat about the stuff.
Just chat.
And most of the time it was chatting about Mom. But now you remove that and what do you have to talk about?
What do you want to replace it with?
Yeah, what do you want to replace it with? What do you replace that pattern that you talked about?
Right. The execution of, the day-to-day tasks around caring for Mom.
Yeah.
What do you talk about?
I don't know. Because most of the time it was about her and him and how he didn't feel appreciated and all the things he did and wasn't seen. It was not as much around what was going on in my life and my feelings and needs.
No, you were supporting him.
I was supporting him because he needed it most. I mean, clearly his wife is dying. So.
Yeah, the wife that he spent all this time with.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
For 30 plus years.
Yeah.
40 years. So what do you replace it with?
Yeah, what do you replace that with? It's so hard.
I don't know. I thought I had the answer about 20 minutes ago and I clearly don't.
Well, we can't pause in a time in which your significant other dies, so you can't replace her right away. You have to mourn it.
Yes. Again, you teach me what I think you're supposed to do, which is, you've lost your life partner, your selected life partner.
What's happening back there? We're supposed to be in the jungle. With all these trees, there's no such thing as cars.
So just so you know, back behind here there's a house, and we thought we picked this. You probably can't even hear this, but we can hear car alarms and motorcycles going by.
Motorcycles.
Again, you remind me of what I should already know, which is, of course, you can't. Your dad in this case is so activated by the loss of Mom. He's mourning that, or he's grieving, and my guess is that he says he feels alone.
100%.
And he doesn't know how to process it. And even if he did, it's still super hard. So he puts up the fight response. Maybe that's the fight response, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing he knows what to do. He doesn't know how to replace it with mourning.
He doesn't know how to replace it with mourning, yeah.
So it's tragic because he's unable, it's hard for him to connect to you.
Because now we're in the same dynamic of where Mom was. She was trying to connect through this way, and now he's trying to connect in that way.
Right.
And yeah, a lot of the time I did meet him there at the same time. I don't really want to.
My guess is it's hard for you to meet him where he's at because, A, you find that kind of reactivity painful.
Ugh, so painful.
And your capacity is diminished for whatever reason, for maybe months of living in this particular environment.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
That's a bit of diagnosis. And then...
That's true, though. I mean...
Well, so the only way you can do it is through resourcing yourself as best you can through exercise, sleep when you can, playing when you can, doing your acro yoga, your practice groups, all of that stuff, the connection. And then losing your mom and dealing with that. I mean, you're grieving as well. You're mourning as well.
Yeah.
So it's just challenging. It's challenging because it's hard, and mourning is hard. It's unpleasant.
It's yeah.
It's really painful.
It's not fun to feel, and a lot of times we just want to distract that feeling and not really want anything to do with it. Which, if like in my dad's case, it's probably extremely hard to know what to do with all those big emotions. And how do you mourn? How do you allow those things to flow through versus holding them in and suppressing, or letting them out in outbursts that are, I would say, very unhealthy. Yeah, like how do you replace, what do you do with that if you don't have that knowledge or awareness that something is not exactly, I don't know.
Yeah, so let's, if we can, we'll go to you actually, then we'll go. So we're going to stop this, we're going to pause. Wave goodbye.
Goodbye. See you next time.